Hi guys, in this week's episode of Taylor Talks Trades, we are with Aman Chahal from TaperedPlus. He's telling us how he's grew a £10 million business with a real focus on strategy, culture and people. I really hope you enjoy. Hi Aman, welcome to Taylor Talks Trades.
Nice to be here, Jamie.
I'll start where I always start, mate. How did you get into the trade then?
It's an interesting story, Jamie. You never wake up and think when you're a kid, I want to be into roofing. You grow up, you think I want to be a footballer, and you've got all these aspirations of doing different things. So like most people, I fell into roofing.
Yep.
So went to university, didn't really know what I wanted to do. I went to 3 universities in the end because I enjoyed it so much.
Wow.
So at one point I thought I'm going to go down the academic route, and then I thought, well, I've got to grow up and get a job. And I jumped on a training scheme at a company called Irwin Tools. Yep. So if you remember Record, which was the vices that you had at school, so jumped over there on a graduate training scheme, went through the system there, became a key account manager for B&Q, which is a great learning place when I was a young man, and essentially moved on.
Yep.
Got married, had kids, had to keep going, and got headhunted by a company called Kingspan. So that started my career in insulation, and that was about 15 years ago now. I remember it well because my wife was pregnant with my son, and now he's 14 and a half. And everyone was saying you're crazy to move across to a new job. At that time, it was 2008. The economy was quite down at that time. But it was a great opportunity. Did well there, did 4 roles at Kingspan, got quite senior. And then the opportunity came up, I think, to start TaperedPlus.
And just to go back a wee bit then, so what I like that's different about you, Aman, a bit is a lot of guests that I've had on are sort of similar background to myself. They left school kind of no qualifications and just sort of got hands-on and then learnt the stuff later. How come you had the academic approach so early? Were you quite academic at school, or?
I think it was always drilled into me from the family that you're going to go to university, and it was something I was actually looking forward to because
it's interesting that
I wanted a bit of time to get away from my hometown, spread my wings, do my own thing, and grow as a person. And the qualifications was one thing, but having that student life for 3 years, I think, was another thing.
It's a big selling point. No, that's awesome. And then so you go straight into a managing position at B&Q then as well.
Well, I started off on a graduate training scheme. Jamie, brought on by a young lady called Kirsty Woodward took a chance on me. Put me in what was called a Phoenix team at the time. So you've got all young graduates. We were given a van with loads of tools in the back, and we were going to building sites and doing market research. And that was a role essentially. Great time with like-minded people, a lot of fun. And I can understand why Irwin Tools did that at the time, because it gave a pipeline of talent to come through the business.
Makes sense.
I was meant to do that for about 18 months to 2 years. After 6 months, an opportunity came up to be an assistant account manager for B&Q. At that time, I always thought my career would move into marketing. Because that was a bit of a passion. But with sales, you get the car, you get the money, you get the opportunities. So when that opportunity became available, I jumped on it, and it was a real learning curve. I probably took that opportunity too early. If I'm being honest, Jamie. It's a baptism of fire. I was probably taken advantage of 1 or 2 occasions as well by other members of staff who were more senior to me. But you don't know at the time.
Too much on you and just kind of.
You don't know what you don't know. So I was running around doing a lot on that account. Also things
you're just trying to prove yourself as well. Like that's actually your first job, really, as such, your first proper job. So
it was.
So you're trying to prove yourself, and I can see how that.
I was, and I was just left alone to it. After a while, though, Irwin Tools lost 2 or 3 big product lines within B&Q. So essentially, I was made redundant after about a year. So that gave me the opportunity to move back to the northeast. Which I took.
Awesome. And then, so the roofing was never a thing. It was never in your your kind of space at this time? You weren't thinking about it. How did the Kingspan opportunity come about?
Well, with Kingspan, I was working for a company called Hilti at the time.
Yep.
So experts in dry lining.
Yeah.
Lovely company to work for, great training,
Yep.
great progression. But then when Kingspan knocked on the door, they were a bigger beast.
Yeah.
So a headhunter got in touch with me, said there's a position available. And I started off, Jamie, doing floors, walls, pitch, roof. So I was doing structural stuff.
Yep.
Then an opportunity came to work in the flat roofing team. And there was a manager there called Steve Bryant, who developed a real good team, real mix of people, really dynamic. And when the opportunity came up, I grabbed it, and it was such a good team. If I look at that team now, the vast majority are directors or business owners.
Wow. Yep.
So it shows
they've all went on
to
do really good.
To massive things.
So it's almost like the Man United kind of group. You know, they all had a really good manager, and then like you just seen them all. They all spun out of different things, and then naturally they sort of become managers themselves or something else. And that's quite interesting. That sounds like a good environment to be in as well. Like a real and you obviously had a passion for learning because you liked the university side of things. So mixing that with actually being in that environment of people you could pick their brains and stuff actually sounds amazing.
Totally. Everyone needs mentors, Jamie, you know, so you can learn off other people at a far greater pace than you can learn yourself.
Yeah, no, totally agree. And then the big opportunity of going out on your own, what drove us to that point? How did that come about?
Yeah, it's an interesting story, Jamie. So I moved up into a new position, which was key accounts, so working with main contractors. And then I moved into flat roofing product manager's position. When I got to that position, I thought, do I really want to go any higher? I looked at 2 positions above me, and I thought, would I really want that job? Yeah. The money wasn't much better either. People were giving their life. It was 6-day, 7-day weeks. Yeah. Away from home a lot. Yeah. And the way the market was, there was a desperate need for manufacturers to have a good route to market for flat roofing and tapered. Yeah. There was a massive need for it. Every company that does what TaperedPlus does in the past has been cheap. Yeah. And tried to compete on price. Right, okay. So we entered the market. We wanted to create a brand. Yeah. We wanted to create a real route to market for some great products and great manufacturers that are out there that didn't have the correct route. Yeah. And so myself and a chap called Rob Fass, we took the plunge. Yeah. And how did that feel? Scary
Really
at
excitement
the time.
there though. It sounds as though you take these opportunities on quite well, like just given as you're going through the story there, do you know it?
Yeah, it was a company that was born out of frustration. Yeah. The market wasn't moving quick enough for our marketplace. Yeah. There was no innovation. So Rob was sent into a company called Building Innovations, which was owned by Ecotherm, which was owned by Kingspan. Yeah. And there was no desire to innovate or grow. So we took the plunge, and I would say the first 2 or 3 years were incredibly exciting, Jamie, but also really scary. I mean, myself and Rob were on 10 grand a year for 3 years. Yeah. So people see the things now. Yeah. They don't remember those days. Yeah,
you're trying to take the wages now that you didn't get then.
I wish. We're always investing back in the business. Yeah. You know that, Jamie.
I know, it's just a constant evolvement, and every time you have a good year, you go, right, we could invest in this, that, or the next thing to then try and have a better year. You're just trying to see that longer term.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I mean, I remember year 1, Rob had a Vauxhall Insignia. The front badge fell off. It had done 140,000 miles on the clock. So he put an Opel badge on the front. So he had the first hybrid.
That's brilliant. Oh. And then, so you were saying, there was a real need in the marketplace for the flat roof sort of insulation and the tapered insulation. Why was tapered insulation not getting looked at in the way that you thought it should have been?
Tapered insulation was always seen by manufacturers, Jamie, as a niche part of their business. Yeah. And it was never given the TLC it deserves. Yeah. I was getting phone calls from roofing contractors day in, day out saying, Aman, why is it taking 2 weeks to do a drawing? Aman, why is tapered so expensive? Yeah. Aman, why can't you give us a budget price? Yeah. Because we need to get our tenders in. Yeah. So we thought, if we can modernise this whole system and create choice for people, So if a company went to a manufacturer, they can have anything they want as long as it's made by that manufacturer.
Yeah.
So we offer true choice. So we offer everything from Rockwool, Stonewall systems, all the way down to hybrids, which is EPS and PIR mixed.
Yep.
Whereas everyone else just tends to offer PIR on its own. So it tends to be commoditized. So we created a system which allowed designs and quotes to be done in 48 hours.
Wow.
And delivery times as quick as 3 days.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had projects, Jamie, where we've had the inquiry, we've designed it, priced it, got the order, delivered it by the time our competitors have done the quote.
Yeah,
That's what the market wants.
And the world's becoming even more like that now, just through like phones, technology, everything's WhatsApp, very quick replies, very quick answers. So that's becoming almost just expected now. If you can't do that, you're probably going to fall away.
Massively. And the under 40s, they need different ways to communicate.
Yeah.
And they want different ways to purchase.
Yeah.
And the world's changed since COVID.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I bet you don't have 30 odd reps knocking on your door anymore, Jamie.
No.
And you don't want that either, do you?
Yeah, it doesn't really always help, you know. But no, it does. It makes sense. So what was some of the sort of the highs and the lows, maybe from like the business owner's perspective, like getting into a wee bit of your mindset? What did you need to do to grow? And because you were coming from an environment where it sounds as though you had a good group around you, you had good mentors. Now it was kind of just you and Rob. So albeit you would have each other to bounce off, but what did you need to do in terms of mindset to?
Yeah, well, I was always a sales background.
Yeah.
And it was quite a blokey environment I grew up in.
Yeah.
So it was like lads and banter and that sort of thing. And once you're a business owner, you've got to kind of change that. You've got to be able to talk to people at all levels.
Yeah.
And also appreciate not everyone has the same ambitions that you have.
Yeah.
So some of the lows I've done is I've pushed people too hard.
Oh, really?
And yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've seen something in them.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't actually want that.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
So I'm seeing some talent, and I'm tapping on the
You're
shoulder.
seeing their potential, which they can't yet see, and you're desperate to help them and get it out of them. And then
and I'm saying, aim for the board, aim to get on the board.
Yeah.
And they don't actually want that.
Yeah.
And that was a learning curve.
Yeah.
In terms of the highs, I love seeing people progress.
Yeah.
We put people through degrees,
Wow.
training courses, and just made people better people.
Yeah.
Giving
That's
people
awesome.
opportunities.
It's good being able to do that as well.
Totally. So we've put 2 or 3 people through degrees, masters,
Yeah.
leadership courses,
Yeah.
and the entire senior leadership team goes through coaching
Yeah.
with an executive coach as well.
That's brilliant.
It helps in a personal life as well as a professional.
And then everybody can get all aligned.
100%.
How do you find that? Where do you find these people that do want that bit extra? Do you know? Because you spoke about the person there who maybe you want to get them on the board, but they don't want that. Where are these people that do want it?
It's interesting, Jamie, because we've started to do things like disc testing and psychometric testing, and what we've started to do is we've started to work with people one-on-one much more.
Yeah.
We've tried to take away the word manager and change it to coach.
Yeah.
If you can't coach the people below you, then you can't really manage them, can you?
Yeah, definitely.
And the stars stand out.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah.
And we've made a conscious decision as well, Jamie, to exit those cancers in the business, those negative people.
Yeah.
And that's had a massive impact on the culture.
I totally get what you're saying. It's one of these things where the old sort of management route doesn't work anymore. The kind of, what is it, the iron fist they call it. And you know, you've sometimes got to have that bit of, right, make a decision, be tough on something, but my thinking now is it's a lot more collaborative. You've got to get a team together, have a vision, and try and get them all to go there together and help each other.
It has to be, Jamie.
Yeah.
It has to be. I mean, there's more. Anyone can work for any company nowadays.
Yep.
The days of people being a slave to a paycheck they're dead.
Yeah.
They're dead, you know. I mean, someone can work for me, or they can go up the road and work for Amazon for more money.
Yeah.
That's a simple fact. What are we giving, which is over and above what the likes of Amazon can give?
Yep.
We've got to
It's this, education. I like that. It's like, as we're talking and going through your journey, like, education's such a key point to everything.
I think education can take many different forms, Jamie. I think if you've got an open mindset, a growth mindset, I think you can achieve anything.
Yeah,
I don't know many people that actually invest in themselves,
yeah,
and that's your greatest tool.
yeah. It's crazy. We sort of almost put ourselves to the bottom of the pile and just do everything else that's external rather than thinking, kind of going inward a wee bit and thinking, how could my mindset be stronger, or how could I be more open to different opportunities? And a lot of
No,
it's been environment from where we've come from as well. But
totally. No business can outgrow the leader. So
mm-hmm.
the leader has to grow
Yeah,
and outgrow the
I've seen
business.
that a few times. You hit that artificial ceiling and you're
Yeah.
like, how am I going to get through that? But it does make sense because, I turn to like books, or there's like loads of personal development seminars, or chatting to like guys like yourself who's ahead of you in the journey and saying, how would I do this, how would I do that? And I just think there's got to just be a desire and a will from somewhere to like believe that you'll go through that artificial ceiling and actually realise that you're going to hit another one at some point. So just you kind of get prepared and you go through it again and again. I like the fact that you're giving your team the tools to do that as well. Like, I think that's pretty.
It really helps, Jamie, when you're all speaking the same language.
Yeah.
When you all understand the same terms.
Yeah.
They don't think, oh, it's a man coming out with his gobbledygook again.
Yeah. They might sometimes think that.
They do. So if they come to me with a suggestion and it's based on something we've learned together,
yeah,
then run with it.
Yeah, no, it's really good. It's really good, and that's passionate cultures like that want to do well just makes good companies grow, as yours is clearly continuing to do.
And it's exciting.
Yeah.
You don't want to wake up every day and go to work and think, I'm going to live that same day over and over again. You want change and you want growth.
Absolutely.
And you want passion.
Yep. And so in terms of the sort of marketplace that you're in, what's so are people coming to you for, like, do you take the kind of a lot of responsibility in terms of these designs and that sort of thing? Is it architects that's coming into you
we do a lot of specification work, and we work a lot with membrane partners and roofing contractors directly. Jamie, that's our route to market. We've got a team of 5 qualified architects sat in Wolverhampton who do all the design work. And then we've got a team of commercial people and financial people based in the northeast of England. Reason for those locations: I'm from the northeast and Rob's from not far from Wolverhampton, so nothing more scientific than that.
Nothing more strategic than that. And what's the so where are you guys just now in terms of like team size and sort of that? I know you're certainly a senior turnover. You're going to hit sort of through the 10 million, I think, this year. So that was that 2014?
It was, yeah. So we didn't get going until 2015.
Yeah. So, like, that's some achievement. So it shows that you've obviously went through a lot of them artificial ceilings we speak about.
Yeah. So as we stand, there's about 20 of us.
Yeah.
Which is a nice number.
Yeah.
I think this business can triple.
Yeah.
Over the next 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
What we've done is we've invested a lot in technology.
Yep.
We're investing further in software, in development, and R&D.
Yeah.
And that will allow us to scale en masse. So it's an exciting time in our journey. It's like you said, Jamie, sometimes you climb to the top of a mountain, then you realise you're at the bottom of a bigger mountain.
That's it. That is absolutely it. And so, does that faze you or does that excite you? So it sounds as though it excites you that you'd like to see it go to them levels.
It does. I think the day it stops exciting you, Jamie, is the day you've got to move aside and let someone else take the reins.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you go through the process? So I would, like, we're a much smaller organisation, and like for myself personally here, probably speaking, is there a process I'll probably need to go through where you just let go a wee bit more to actually go up through the gears? Like, I sometimes think there might be just that, I didn't really want to quite let go of that yet. How have you overcame that?
It's with great
because I'm
difficulty.
guessing the guy who you are today isn't the same person who's probably going to be the £30 million company. You're going to evolve and things are going to change. You probably, does that involve bringing in like more directors, different, like how does that kind of?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. We went through a journey with an external coach,
right?
And we put down, who do you think is responsible for each of these elements?
Okay.
My name was down for for about 80% of it.
Wow. It's normally the case with business owners, to be
But
fair.
you don't realise it at the time.
Yeah.
You think, well, so-and-so's got that accountability, but they actually haven't.
Yeah.
Because you're doing it.
Yep.
So we
So you're like a
restructured the
safety
business.
blanket for them. Like they might be doing the job, but it's kind of coming to you anyway. Is that what you mean there? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I can't keep my filthy paws off the project itself.
Yeah.
So over the past 2 or 3 years, Jamie, I've consciously made myself redundant from a lot of the jobs.
Yep.
And surprisingly, the business has continued on.
Yeah.
There are times when I've got the urge to get involved in something, especially sales.
Yeah.
Because that was my baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Marketing as well,
Yeah.
because I've got a passion for it.
Yeah.
But you've got to trust people.
Yep.
And let them get on with it.
Yep.
And empower them.
And how do you fill the gaps then? So I know you'll obviously still be busy, but when you're in a sales role or you're in a marketing role, like it's quite full on. Sales especially, it's full on. You're maybe making calls all day, or you're working on a quote or something to get over to someone and then following up and everything. How, like, with that kind of busyness maybe slowing down, what do you fill them gaps with?
I've given myself a job description,
Don't
Jamie.
say be on the golf course or something.
No, don't play golf. I've given myself a job description, Jamie.
Yep.
So everyone in the company's got a 3x5 where 80% of their time should be spent on 3 to 5 bullet points.
Yeah.
And we try to stick to that.
Yeah.
So my 3 bullet points are culture,
Yes.
people,
Yep.
and strategy.
Yeah.
So that's what I've got to work
That's
on.
good.
And everyone's aware of that.
Yeah. So if you spent, say, you were in the offices or whatever and you spent 8 hours working on strategy, which is vision, nobody can see, there's nothing tangible.
No.
But they now know that that's what you're doing. And it's hard for people maybe below that level who don't do strategy to understand what strategy actually is. But when you actually try and do something without a strategy, it doesn't really ever end very well.
Well, it's like Alice in Wonderland when she said to the Mad Hatter, "Which way do I go?"
Yeah.
And he said, "Where you going?" She goes, "I don't know." He said, "Doesn't matter then, does it?"
Yeah, it's interesting. I'd heard someone saying before, what happens if you put a ship out to sea without a map? Where does it dock? You're like, wherever it docks, because where was it going? You don't know.
Exactly.
Strategy is such an important thing, and I think a lot of business owners probably don't focus on it as much as they should, because they just try and fix today's problems, which can always, like you said, it's hard not to get involved in that because your team's maybe got something going off and firefighting as such.
It's because it's scary, Jamie.
Yeah.
It's scary. Trying to engineer a business for the future.
Yeah.
Takes a lot of energy.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of research.
Mentally draining.
It is.
Yeah.
So
is culture and people as well.
100%.
Because it's the hardest thing to do, because every one of them's uniquely different, which is great. But
humans are imperfect and no one's like you, and that's what you've got to appreciate.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, it sounds great, to be honest, mate. It sounds like you're on a real good journey, or well, have been on a great journey with it all, and continue to do so. How do you see these sort of technologies helping? I seen you were maybe looking at a bit of artificial intelligence and things, and it's the buzzword at the moment, but
it is, and I think it's the possibilities are amazing, Jamie.
Yeah.
We've just started this journey, and some of the efficiencies that we've built into the business has been astounding.
Yeah.
So within the design process, we're on the verge of pushing a button and having 9.2 times the capacity overnight.
Wow.
Through the use of these technologies. I'm hearing about technology which can answer 3,000 emails a day through AI and send it on to the right people.
Wow.
I'm seeing customer services being improved.
Yep.
So that's going to be the next bastion of our development, is to go head first into this.
And do you think then, so there's a lot of fear around people thinking AI is going to take their job as such, but can you see it being that it'll allow people to do things that would be less mundane but more creative, and still need human minds, and like we were talking about, their strategies and visions? Like, yeah,
it allows people to work at a higher level, and it allows scale. The reality is, if you don't go on this journey, the company that you work for won't exist.
Yeah.
So never mind your job won't exist, that company won't exist.
Yeah, true.
So we can either jump on board and get on with it and move with it and lead it, or be left behind.
Yeah.
It's like when the internet was invented, there was people still printing out brochures and things. And
yeah, no, definitely.
they don't exist anymore, do they?
Nah, that's it. And everything goes from, you know, yellow pages to yell.com to, you know, and it just moves through them gears, and it moves quite quick as well. And I think when they first started talking about sort of AI, it just was like, oh, that'll never happen. Now it's real and it's going at pace.
It's all around us.
Yeah.
I mean, if you watch something on Netflix that's suggested for you, there's not a little human there.
Yeah.
Looking at it. Oh, Jamie likes violent films. Or, there you go, recommendation.
How you been looking at my history? No, definitely. No, that's brilliant, mate. It's great to hear the journey in itself, and probably like I'm quite envious almost of the sort of just the education that exists in sort of more the manufacturer world. I think coming from like the background that I've came through and roofing, you know, there was none of that real education. It was like you went to college, you learned the slating, tiling and stuff, and there was that element, but there wasn't like really you didn't get to learn marketing roles, you didn't get to learn sales roles, you didn't really get to have a mentor above you. So, you know, it's a really interesting space, and it sounds as though you're using all the best parts of it and wrapping it all into one. And
we're trying to, Jamie, but what I would say is the last 5 years, I've implemented a lot more than I did the previous 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's
often the way, and you sort of get to a point and you gather that momentum as well.
Yeah, 100%.
That's brilliant, mate. And if anyone sort of want to get in touch with you and pick your brains or do any business with you, what's the best way to sort of get in touch with you?
Contact me via Twitter.
Yep.
Well, more LinkedIn, I should say. LinkedIn's my baby.
Yeah.
Aman.Chahal.
Yeah.
Also aman@taperplus.co.uk, and contact us via the website.
Yep.
And I'm always happy to give up some time and try to promote our industry.
Absolutely, mate. And I must admit, from the first phone call I had with you about coming on the podcast, we kind of hit it off, and I've been picking your brains already. So hopefully you didn't get too inundated with people wanting to say. But
it's good. I think we're in a great industry, Jamie, and not enough people know about it or shout about it.
Absolutely.
There's a labour shortage, and you think, well, why?
Yeah.
Because I've had a great time in this industry and still am. And the fun I've had and the places I've been to and the things I've seen, I just probably wouldn't have got in other industries.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm hoping people listening to this podcast and listening to guys like yourself, seeing that it's a good career, like there's a good career pathway. And even if you stopped off at one of the levels before and maybe didn't even start your own business, that's still a successful career in a way. You know, it's like you said, not everybody wants to go to the board level or go to the director level or own their own business and all these things, but absolutely there's some great pathways, and we just need to get more eyes and ears on it.
Totally, 100%.
Well, thanks very much for coming on, and I'll hope to hear from you again soon.
Yeah, appreciate it,
Thanks,
Jamie.
buddy.
Thanks.